All right, can you guys hear me? Welcome. How are you guys doing today? I know it's Tuesday. I hope a lot of you guys had a great weekend. Good. We're getting started into week 2 here, and we're going to be continuing what you left off with in week 1, which is your menus. How did you like that assignment? Did you find it challenging? Did you have a lot of fun with it? Maybe a little bit of both. And I know a lot of you guys are new to InDesign, so I understand that. When I evaluate your work, I definitely have that in mind. I did see a little both. I did see a lot of you guys struggling with how to package and zip your projects. And we did go over that at the end of lecture last week. I can definitely go over it again today. Some of you guys actually had issues even uploading it to Canvas. If that's the case, just go ahead and email me. I've had students just kind of email me their zipped file instead. Sometimes Canvas can be a little strange with how you upload your files. So just kind of let me know what's going on, and then try to zip your file to me if you're having issues submitting your zipped file. We can kind of work around that. Okay, well, let's get started here. Your deadlines for week 2 are super important, just like every week, especially for this class, because it's a cumulative project. It builds upon itself, and it just kind of requires you guys to take that time to get that critique feedback and apply your revisions as you go forward. For those of you who have not submitted your week 1 work in, get that in as soon as possible so you're not rushing through the second part of your project. And obviously you'll get credit for your project as well. So get that in as soon as possible. You can still also submit your discussion 1 initial post if you have not done so yet. There will be a late penalty, and obviously people, you won't gain as much as you will if it was during the due date, just because people are not going to go back and read through your posts from a previous week. So make sure you're getting that in at least for some credit. So your discussion 2 and your assignment assessment 2 will be due before midnight Saturday, just like last week, Mountain Standard Time. Your initial discussion is due by Wednesday by midnight Mountain Time for possible full credit, and don't forget to respond to at least 2 peers during this week. What else do I have to tell you guys? Can't remember. Oh, so as we go forward here, I don't know why I'm drawing a blank here, but just kind of checking in. How is everything going? Do you guys have any questions, concerns, anything you want to talk about before we get into the details? Are we all good to go? Okay. I think I remember what I was going to say. Your assessment 2, just like week 1, is going to be a quiz. So just kind of an FYI there. Okay. Well, hopefully you guys are enjoying the class so far. I know sometimes it can be a challenging part of, being a student, learning not only the design theory and fundamentals of design, but also the software. And that's just kind of one of the challenges as a student, but hopefully this class will get you to the point where you feel more comfortable and confident using InDesign. And like I said, I will be around tomorrow for your multi-session, same time between 11:30 and 1:30. So if you want to come in, if you have any questions, need extra feedback, I will be there. All right, let's get into it. We have a lot of demonstration work today to do. So I think you will definitely enjoy this. Learning objectives, we'll go over, this is what you'll be walking away from this week learning. We'll go over your discussion too. A lot of you guys got started with that, which is great. And then your assignment 2, we'll go over and I'll do a demo. All right, so these are the objectives. There's a lot of objectives you guys are going to be walking away from every week. And a lot of these objectives will be repeated throughout the week because we are still applying certain elements and you know, principles and foundations as well as software tools to your work as we go forward. So we're going to be applying InDesign text frame properties to create and link columns. I'll show you how to do that. Utilize InDesign's character panel to apply changes to font size, kerning, tracking, and leading. Have you ever worked with style sheets? Any of you in InDesign? Okay, well, we'll definitely get you started with that. That's very important. You guys are talking about that in your discussion, so that'll be good to kind of go through this week in your discussion, understand what they're for, the purpose of style sheets, and then I'll show you how to utilize them. Okay, so then we're going to utilize the rectangle, oval, and tools to create composition in InDesign. Prepare an InDesign document for print output using package tool. Create and apply paragraph and character style sheets to manage type consistency. That's what I'll show you today. Illustrate how to utilize the color palette within InDesign. Show correct image resizing and cropping methods within InDesign. And then, of course, we're always keeping in mind applying the 4 basic principles of design, your CRAP, contrast, repetition, alignment, and proximity. And then define and apply the 5 basic elements of design. So, you know, shape, line, color, texture, and value. All right, before we get into the discussion too, I do want to show you something really quick. Just a little reminder here. If you go into week 2, this is again all the learning objectives that I just went over. There's a little short video here. If you go to course media, just make sure you're watching the required videos in this week 2, just like you did in week 1. This will give you just a nice idea of certain things to kind of keep in mind and be mindful of certain things, how to lay text out, for example. And then you have extra videos down here, which some of them are a little longer than others, but you know, definitely very helpful. And I will be going over some of this stuff as well. But this is nice because you can go back and listen to these if you need to. And then some of these are going over the 4 basic principles of design, elements of design. Then there's optional video here in the lynda.com. Don't forget about that because in your assignment, or your assessment 2, which I'll just click on, so we'll kind of talk about this. It's going to be a quiz just like week 1. Yes, I actually just looked at that too. I thought so too. Very helpful, especially, you know, kind of keeping in mind with baselines and how to lay out type. Good. I'm glad you watched that. So your week 2 assessment, just to go over quickly before we get into your discussion, is a quiz, 50 points. No, it's not timed, but it will be it'll cover principles and elements of InDesign. So if you want to kind of study up, and a lot of that is in your week 2 live sessions, readings, and videos. So just a little heads up there. Okay. Yeah, so if you haven't watched the required week 2 video yet, definitely watch it after this recording. It goes along with what we are basically talking about and doing this week. Okay, so your discussion, it's all about style, and we're kind of keeping in mind just different parts of styling. We're going to talk about style sheets, the principles of design, and again, this is kind of going into this in detail. Go ahead and read through the background. I'm going to go to the prompt. So I'm going to read over this. Let me know if you have any questions, but I think it's pretty straightforward. In today's discussion, we learned about how the use of style sheets can make layouts consistent to apply to two of the principles of design, repetition and alignment. Do you feel that restricting yourself by using style sheets hinders creativity? You know, there might be a time when you might not want to use style sheets, and when would that time be? Kind of explain. You could even show examples of that. So find an example where you feel style sheets were used, but it is still unique and creative. Locate 3 places on that layout and tell us what type of style sheet may have been used, character or paragraph, to support a principle or repetition or alignment or both. And I think after kind of explaining a little bit more about what style sheets are today and showing you how to use them, this will be a little bit more clear for you. But just don't forget to cite where you found the image that you're using in the artist or firm name if possible. And it shows you how to embed images there. So if you need a reminder, there's a little link there. For your reply post, look for other signs that the piece your fellow student presented most likely used or didn't use style sheets. Was it because of the poor use of repetition or alignment that wasn't already picked up on? Or was it something else that gave you a clue? So you guys can build upon each other's posts. If there's something that, say, they have not pointed out, you can definitely make mention of that. I guess that's the beauty behind discussions, is sometimes we overlook things, so we can kind of point that out. Does anybody have any questions about what I just read? I'm going to try and find some examples here. Okay, so I'm going to just open up this example just very quickly here so you can at least see what we're talking about. There's the inside spread of that one. I guess we could have used this one too. Let me zoom in here. So do you guys know what style sheets are? I know some of you guys aren't familiar with them. Do you know what they are, their purpose? Okay. So, easy layout to copy. It's almost like little, it's kind of keeping your elements consistent. So if you're working on especially a multi-page document or a piece that has a lot of information, you can keep it very consistent, but very easily change your typefaces to be consistent within the style typeface fonts that you want for your piece. So for this example that you're looking at, this is a double page spread in a magazine. And you can see the hierarchy of text. So what do you see first? You probably see maybe the images draw you in, but then you definitely look at the word contents because it's really big up there, right? So that's really where the eye needs to start. That's where they want you to look at first. So that word contents is kind of like a headline. And in style sheets, you can set up how you want every headline to be on every page. So if you want a consistent headline to be that same look, font, color, everything, you can set up a style sheet that repeats that same style for every headline. Same as your body copy. See the body copy down below in your columns? It's obviously smaller. It's probably the smaller type, the smallest type on the page. You can set that up to be consistent. So if you have, say, a 100-page magazine, the body copy, once you set up a style sheet for the body copy, you're going to have the font size, the leading, the typeface that you choose, anything that you need consistent so that you can apply it to all of your body copy very easily. Same with the numbers next to it. These little numbers here, they can also be named, subhead or something like that. So each of these parts most likely has a style sheet. Now a character style, so a paragraph style is basically, there's 2 different kinds of style sheets that we're going to be going over. There's a character style sheet and there's a paragraph style sheet. The character style sheet, you'll notice, and I'll show you, doesn't have as many options as the paragraph style sheet as far as, you know, different styles that you can apply to it. There's a reason for that, because you're only either applying it to one letter or two or maybe even one word. You're never really going to set a large body of copy in a character style. That's just to kind of make emphasis. So like say if you want one word, see this word stunning up here, it's like bold and in white, and then difference also yellow up here. Those are probably done in a character style sheet because they're just single words that are being emphasized. A paragraph style sheet, which is opposite of a character, it does the same thing in terms of keeping it consistent, but a paragraph style sheet applies to more like large bodies of text that you're changing. So body copy, for example, and you have a little bit more styling options, and I'll show you that too. Okay, so that would be a good image to show, or one of these images, and you can go ahead and point out in there. Yep, you can scan a magazine article. Yep, you can even draw on there or make it a PDF and go ahead and draw in there, kind of like where you think a paragraph style sheet is being, you know, being applied, or where a character style sheet is being applied. Okay, well, you're not looking for a style sheet. You're looking for something that a style sheet has been applied to. So style sheet isn't quite what you are looking for, right? This isn't called a style sheet. This is a double page spread that uses style sheets. So it uses a paragraph style sheet and a character style sheet. So what you're going to look for is either an ad with a lot of different copy that's small copy, medium copy, bold copy, large copy, or you're going to look for a magazine article that kind of looks similar to this. So that's what you're in search of. And then what you can do is I could actually go ahead and let me go ahead and save this out. And I'll show you kind of what I'm going to, I just pulled this off, and I'm going to save this. I'm going to save this as a PDF instead of a JPEG, because when I pull this off, it's automatically a JPEG. So I'm going to export it as a PDF. And I'm going to name this discussion 2, desktop save. Open up your PDF, which you'll see here in a second. Hold on. So I just exported out as a PDF. So in your PDF, this is kind of cool. Now that it's a PDF, you can edit this if you're not going to do it by hand or, you know, verbally in your post. Go to your tools area here. Let me make this bigger so I can see. And you can choose comment. That's one that you can choose. And then what you can do is see all these tools up here. Okay. So you could either use the shape tools to kind of circle something. So say for instance, you want to just circle this part here. And then what you could do is draw a line out of here. Oops. Easier said than done, right? Where's my line? There we go. And then you can write a comment, you know, up here by just taking your type tool and adding it right here. Wrong type tool. There we go. You can use your different fonts, choose your, you know, size, everything all good. And then you can type in here, character style sheet. And then let's move that over. Using your move tool, which, where is my move tools? There we go. So I just touched the little T with the little like arrow, and then that's how you can kind of move this around. So you could do something like that where you're kind of showing exactly what shows the character style sheet here. And then you can kind of maybe just, indicate where the other style sheets would be. Kind of easy. So this would be paragraph style. Do you guys get what I'm talking about here? So you can kind of pick and choose each of these areas here. Okay, then you just have to save it. And then what I would probably do, once you're done, once you're done, what I would probably do, let me see if this allows you to embed a PDF, I'm not quite sure. If you can't embed the PDF, just go ahead and take a screenshot of this. Where am I at? There we go. Go ahead and do a Command-Shift-4 and take a screenshot of this, and then that kind of makes it into, or you can export as a JPEG again, just go File, Export, and you can embed that image into your discussion. Does that make sense? Okay, so you're just kind of pointing out where you believe paragraph and character styles were used. It's just a good way to kind of get you understanding of the purpose. Yep, you can use Photoshop as long as we can see it. Yeah, you can use whatever program you want. As long as we can see it in the discussion and you embed it. Do you guys know what embedding means? Okay. Yeah, so whenever you open up your discussion, you should be able to see it in there, kind of like this example here. Oh wait, I don't think you can see it, hold on. I think I had it on the wrong slide. This example right here. So that's embedding, so you can see it. All right, any questions about that then, or are we all good to go? Great, awesome. All right, so that's pretty much what we're doing for your discussion. Awesome. Let's get right into the assignment 2. We have a lot to cover, not to kind of scare you, but I want to get started so I don't have to rush through it. I can go a little slower. And then if you have any questions, obviously we can answer that. Yes, we got some early posts, which is great to see. All right, guys, so your second part of your assignment. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking the strongest menu that you believe is the strongest, has the most potential from the 2 that you designed. And I had a lot of you guys who didn't design 2, just 1. And I had some of you guys design the front cover only, 1 cover, and start designing the inside right away for assignment 1. Make sure that that's not the case. Assignment 1 was only supposed to be 2 menu covers that were different concepts. So that was to kind of get you kind of looking at different styles. So you're going to revise your cover that you want to go with, and then we're going to go forward with the background. All right, so go ahead and read through the background. I'm going to kind of skip through this just because it's a lot of info you guys can read on your own. I'm going to go right to the prompt. So your graphic presentation, type choices, and overall look should reflect the price point, market, and target audience of the restaurant you choose. I'm going to read that over again because I think that's important and sometimes we forget about this. Your graphic presentation, type choices, and overall look should reflect the price point, market, and target audience of the restaurant you choose. Look at your menu. Are the elements telling you that this is the right price point? If not, you need to revise it. Make sure that your menu can be read in both sunshine and candlelight, and your ultimate goal is to express the restaurant's personality in a visual way. For this assignment, you will be finishing the part you started last week by adding the menu items for your restaurant. Please do not change restaurants. You're going to duplicate your work 1 menu cover file. So you're going to go forward with the one that you want. You're going to rename it assignment 2, your last name. Choose the strongest of the 2 covers. Delete the page of the cover that you did not choose to use. Make revisions to the cover per critique from your instructor. Add a new page to your InDesign document. You're going to create a menu layout for the restaurant on the new page utilizing all text provided. at least 2 photos provided, paragraph style sheets, we just talked about, character style sheets, we just talked about, custom color swatches, we'll take a look at that, tabs and leaders, we'll take a look at that. Apply the principles of design, CRAP, always thinking about contrast, repetition, alignment, proximity, and elements of design, shape, line, texture, color, value. Texture is twice in there that you learned about this week. If you copy the layout from the example, I had 2 of you who did this, your creativity score on the rubrics may be low. When you are finished with your design, create a packaged folder. I'll show you again how to do that. And be sure that a quality screen resolution PDF is included in your package. You're going to zip the package folder and submit the zip file. All your assets, so all of this information here, 2 bullet points, your text and your photos are all in the assets folder in week 1, which can be linked here. You can click on here if you need to download that again. Should you need to download them again, you can find them below here as well. It's kind of nice that they did that for you. And this is worth 120 points. Really kind of what we're looking at is consistency and ease of reading. So you're organizing a lot of information on your menu cover. You want to make sure that the front looks like the inside. I don't want to be looking at menus and then turning it over, flipping to the next page and going, well, this looks like a completely different restaurant. So you want to keep a consistency of some sort, a unified look and theme for your menu on the inside as well. Any questions so far? And I'm going to kind of go through step by step how to set up your inside based on my design. All good? All right. All right. Awesome. You guys remember where I started or stopped the last time? This was my cover, and I think the second one I think I showed you, but I didn't quite do. So go with the one that you believe is the strongest, or maybe I pointed out and make revisions to. Go ahead and delete your second cover, and that you just go to your pages, select that page, and hit that little trash can like I just did. Okay. Give me 1 second, you guys. Okay, sorry guys. All right, so you're gonna go with the menu cover that you believe is the strongest or that I had addressed in the beginning. And then you're gonna make suggested changes. Just make sure that everything looks, is you have proper margin space. I kind of addressed that with some of you guys. If you had, say, your elements closer to your trim edge, remember this is where your menu will be trimmed right here. So you don't really want copy or elements super close to it that you don't, obviously want trimmed off, and you want a nice balance around your menu cover. You also want to pay attention to hierarchy, and we talked about this before. You want a main focal image to pull you in, and then somewhere to look after that. So think of it as like you're viewing it in order. You want the viewer to be pulled in by the image or maybe even the logo. And then your tagline. So your tagline should not be as big as your logo. It needs to be secondary. It shouldn't compete with the logo itself. And then the address is obviously contact information is also smaller. So make sure you're paying attention to that. Okay. All right, so moving on, we're gonna create a new page. So all you need to do is, there's two ways you can do this, just like we did, well, actually, we did it a little differently before. You could just go up on the upper hand corner of your panel and say insert page. Or you can go, and I can't see this on mine actually here. Hold on one second. I don't know why my thing's so far below here. Ah, my panel got stuck. Hold on one second. Let me reset my essentials here. For some reason. There we go. Right at the very bottom is a new page icon here that you can also choose. I couldn't see that on my panel, was too small or too long. All right, so you have a second panel here, or second page. You're gonna go to this. Let me show all my margin guides here. Okay. All right, and remember that assets folder that we downloaded before? Definitely open that up because it's gonna have your copy and it's gonna have your images. So let me go ahead and open that up here. Here's the one image for mine. If you have the beach client, you'll see these 3 images in here that we can place on the inside. We also have Starlight menu text. So that's kind of what you want to open and take from for this inside here. So go ahead and show you what this looks like. So if you're doing the other brands, the other restaurants, you're going to see a similar text file in there, Word file, I should say. Maybe obviously the dishes will be a little different, but what you're going to do is you're going to select all. So Command A and then Command C for copy, and then go back into your InDesign layout here. And just for sake of getting this in here, I'm going to go ahead and take the type tool, and I'm just going to draw out a really big box here. Doesn't matter what size it is, just to paste it in. So I'm going to do Command V to paste it all in here. Okay. Once we paste it in there, and I just put my type tool in there and hit Command V for paste. I'm going to take my selection tool and I'm just going to kind of move this around. So at this point, you can at least see how much copy is on here. You know, there's definitely some copy. Actually, this is all of the copy. I don't see a little red X here, so, or a little red mark here. So it's telling me this is all the copy that I have to play around with. Okay, so let's go ahead first and set up our style sheets. And where you can find your style sheets is if you go up to your window on your menu bar and choose styles. And now the ones that we're going to be paying attention to are character styles and paragraph styles. I'm going to choose paragraph styles because we're dealing with more than one word. We're going to be dealing with your body copy. So once you pull up paragraph style panel, it should look like this. This is your style box. There will always be this one style always in here. So you don't have to, it's like a default setting. You just kind of ignore it. This is something you just kind of, it's a default in there. So what you're going to be doing is you're going to create a style for your main body copy. And I know some of this, like for example, the word smoothies and in a bowl. We want those emphasized too, but we want to first kind of set your body copy so we can get that done, and then we'll kind of do the rest as we go forward, okay? So we're going to take your type tool and we're going to select all, just like we did before. And you can go up on the right-hand corner of your style sheets in that little assets button here, and we're going to say new paragraph style. So we're going to set a new paragraph style for this. Oops, let me see if you can see this panel here. Hopefully you can. This panel will come up. And this panel is to allow you to edit and change your paragraph style based on what typeface that you want your body copy to be, what size, point size, and even color. You can set tabs if you want and then some spacing, but we're going to keep it simple for this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to see where it says style name. We're just going to highlight that, and we're going to type in body copy because we want to know that this is our body copy. When we assign this, this is our body copy style sheet. You're going to leave all of this the same based on all this is fine. Over here on the left, you're going to choose basic color format. And you are going to change this to whatever typeface that you believe is consistent with your brand. Now, this is body copy, so you don't want to pick a decorative or script font because that's just hard to read. So we want to keep this simple, easy to read. All right, so I'm going to use a font that I used on the front of my menu cover. And that might be an instance where if you use, say, in your body copy of your menu cover, you want to keep it consistent on the inside. For your body copy, I would say stick between 9, 10, 11 point size. So I'm going to take this down to, let's do 9 with a 14 point, or actually let's do 12 point leading. And I'm going to keep this just a Roman universe for now. So you can, if your font family has a style, you can set that too. This is the type size, and this is the leading. The leading is the space in between your lines of copy. Typically, it's a 20% ratio that you want to keep for readability. Everything else looks good. We can kind of look into these other options as we go forward, but we're going to click OK for now. Go back to your InDesign, and you'll notice in your paragraph styles, you'll have a new named paragraph style. Now you need to select it in order to apply it. Okay, because right now the default's selected. So we're going to hit body copy, and then you should notice that your copy will change based on that. Any questions about that? Pretty easy. Oh, Larry, I didn't see your question. I have troubles trying to separate it in. Change your when I look at Pages panel. I have trouble trying to separate items and select what I want. I think just using the selection tool is probably what you need to do. Is that what you're having issues with? Because that's, Okay, see, so ignore the master page. We're not doing master pages. We're just doing regular pages. Like, I don't even have to have this have an A. It could just be no master page selected. Okay, yeah, so you can't see what's under. There's nothing under 2. So what's your question? I guess I'm kind of confused on what you're having issues with. Well, you really don't like change anything using this. You kind of change it on your page itself. You know, it's not quite, it's just for you to see how many pages are in there. And then if you want to edit anything or look at the pages, just double click on there. Or you can scroll down.
Okay, well, so maybe it might be easier for me to talk than to type it.
Okay, go ahead.
So with Photoshop, I'm used to layers and stuff. And then Illustrator, there's layers and stuff. So I'm used to seeing the different layers and levels that I'm working on. One of the things that I did is like I put my Starlight Bistro in first. And then I tried to do a gradient, but then I couldn't see the Starlight Bistro anymore. And so I couldn't necessarily see it to grab it to even try to tell it, maybe move the front, move the back, or anything like that. So do I have to set up, I see that you went to Windows and pulled up layers. Do I have to set up something to automatically allow me to have a layers panel up there? Or?
Yeah, you just have to bring it up yourself, like window layers. And then what you do is you assign, if you want to mess with layers, you just assign each one to a layer.
So then I would still have to assign it a layer. So it still wouldn't even like tell me, like I wouldn't like, if you hit the drop down arrow, it won't show you what's under there, will it?
Yeah, right here.
Okay. So I don't have to necessarily assign it a layer, but it'll still have the different, because that's what I was having problems with, because one
right there, it's telling me what's selected.
Was selected. Right. Okay. And that's the same thing that happens in Illustrator. But like one of the things, like I kept trying to change the color for my gradient. I wanted the gradient to be like a blue color, and I want that blue color to have a gradient aligned to it. But every time I kept trying to change the color, it would change the whole image as a color, and then I'd select gradient, and then it would turn into a black and white gradient, and I couldn't get it to have a color gradient.
I think because you have to have the right gradient tool selected. So instead of using gradient, use this gradient feather tool.
Oh, yeah, because I kept using gradient and not feather.
Yeah.
Okay, so the gradient just puts.
And the gradient feather tool kind of applies it to, like,
The
has
color.
transparency to it, yeah. So
okay.
Transparent. And then you can go in here and kind of edit your colors, you know, whatever.
Okay. Oh.
You can flip these around.
Yeah, I was trying to play around with a few things and stuff, and I couldn't make it where I was trying to get it to process right. And so that was really the reason why I hadn't really turned mine in yet, because I hadn't got enough done for me to have anything to really turn in.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't have got no points for it anyway. So it was like, let me just have something I could turn in to actually get some points for.
Yeah, that's a good point that you brought up about layers, because I didn't go over that in week 1, but yeah, definitely check that out. You can, so if you're having problems, like, you know, say the logo's behind there, open up your layers folder. You can definitely bring this forward, just kind of like you do normally in other programs.
Right.
Click on it and drag. But yeah, the gradient tool, it's a little different.
Okay. Yeah, it was, and I kept messing around with stuff, and it was like everything I kept doing kept like reverting back, and I was like, look, this is not getting me anywhere.
Yeah, so if you want to put a gradient on your image, go ahead, and you'll need to change the color if you want a different color for that gradient, but that's how you would do it.
See, and that's kind of what I kept running into, where, you know, because it would do stroke, and then I take it off of stroke and put it back on color, but then when I would go to color, it would go black and white, and it wasn't giving me the color as a gradient. So I kept playing around with that, and I just got frustrated.
Yeah, and you can also create a square, like fill it with color, and play around with this as, you know, you can
Mm-hmm.
this over the top if you want to change the color.
And because I kept looking at the pages page, I couldn't tell where I was and what I was maneuvering and manipulating. So I really wasn't getting into it. So I couldn't really, okay, got a
Yeah.
better understanding of where I'm at now.
No, that's cool. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think that's a good thing everybody can definitely learn from, you know, and kind of play around with because I did have a lot of students that had issues with readability on the menu cover with their type. So that's a good thing that you brought up, because now they can play around with that same feather gradient tool.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Okay. Yeah, so if you have any questions, definitely let me know, because I'd rather stop and address them, and so we can go forward here. Okay, so that was the body copy. Now what we're going to do is we're going to, I think at this point it's probably good to pick a grid of how you're going to lay this out. Now you could start with sketches like on your own, or kind of play around with the type, you know, would it look better on the right-hand side or the left-hand side? Either way, I wouldn't leave it at this line length. The line length is pretty long here, and typically what they say is don't exceed 72 characters. That means every letter per line, just because it's hard to read. So I would definitely pull this copy box in a little bit more, probably at least here, so that your line lengths aren't too long. The reason being, it's just harder to read. It's harder to follow all the way across. So, you know, you could have 2 columns, or you could have a column like this, which is like a 1/3 column. Decide on what you want to do and where you're going to put your images. Okay, so play around with the images, play around with your copy, and then what we're going to do is we're going to kind of place more paragraph styles in here based on emphasis to kind of make things pop out more. What's that? What question does that only apply to, like, publications? Style sheets? Or line lengths? You're talking about line lengths? That applies for everything, even ads. Like if you have an ad, say if you have a full page ad like this, your body copy shouldn't stretch from this side to this side. It's just too long. Now, if your ad was smaller, obviously your line length is going to be shorter. Yeah, so that applies to publications, posters, magazines, ads, anything like that. The body copy, not necessarily a headline, but the body copy. Just because it's like a lot of, you know, characters on the line where it's harder to read. Okay. So I'm going to look at my cover, and what I want to do is I want to make the inside look similar to the cover. I want to keep that consistency. So one of the ways to do that is what? How can I keep it consistent? Same font, good. What else? Color, good. What else? Centered, so alignment. This is all about repetition. Remember we talked about the principles of design? Yep. So all of those things are correct. You are definitely correct. So line, we got repetition through imagery, color, typeface, alignment, all that good stuff. All right. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to do here is we're going to bring in an element that's, you know, something visually interesting yet consistent. So I'm going to take, you can either do a pen tool like I showed you on the cover, you could do a rectangle frame tool, whatever, you can even do a circle, whatever you think works well with what you have going on here. you can do. I'm going to go ahead and pull this over to the right, and I'm going to utilize this over here primarily for an image. I'm going to do about 2 1/4 here, or maybe 2 1/2, bleeding off. And I'm going to place one of those, actually I'm going to place the image that I used on the front cover. Maybe, let's see here. Yeah. Only I'm going to try something a little different here. I'm going to make this, oops. See my properties here. And you don't have to use the same image. It's just what I decided to do. It's completely up to you on how you want to do this. I'm going to make this, let's see here. Let me see, kind of play around with it. This is kind of where you can play around with the arrow tool. Pull this down a little bit. There we go. Something like that. You just play around with, like, almost like it's just an abstract look, but you're keeping the consistency of this. Okay, so that's about 2 1/2. Now I'm going to take a guide. Now, if you don't have your ruler showing, you might want to bring up your rulers, go up the window, and then bring up your rulers. Where's my rulers here? Oh, I'm sorry, view. Always go to do that. Mine says hide rulers because mine are showing. And what this allows you to do is take your selection tool and click into your ruler, click and hold that click, and you can drag out a margin guide for your, kind of where you want to align your text. So I'm going to drop it right there at 3 inches, and then I'm going to select my body copy and pull in the center bounding box there. I'm going to give a nice space in between. We don't want it too close to the image. I'm going to be doing other stuff here. That's why I need a little bit more space. But my copy box is about 5 inches wide, which is a good, start. It looks like all my copy will fit in here too. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and take the ellipse frame tool. And that's just holding down your selection under the rectangle, frame tool. And I'm going to hold the shift key down to make a perfect circle. Okay. And I'm going to make 3 of these. I'm going to do Alt, drag. I'm going to shift, select all of these so I can make sure that they're aligned perfectly. Go up to window. And let's see here. Where is your alignment? Okay, object. Layout, object and layout is where you'll find your alignment. And you'll need to distribute your centers vertically because I have them vertically centered here. Everything else looks good. Okay. So just make sure they're aligned if you have. And what I would do is make sure any of the images that you have on your menu that you want to show, like food images, make sure they're consistent in size. Like, you wouldn't want one image to be round and big and the other image to be small and rectangle, and the other one kind of, I don't know, a perfect square. You want to keep consistency. This is all about rhythm, right? So that's why I created these 3 circle frames. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place the images in there of food. So I'm going to do Command D, go back to my assets folder, maybe here, there we go. And I'm going to place the frittata. And it's not placing in perfectly here. It's kind of big for that little circle. So I'm going to go to object fitting, full frame proportionally. If you need to kind of move this around still, just double click in there until it turns red. And then you can use, say, your little arrow tools or click in there to move it around. Same thing for this one, Command D. I'm going to, this time I'm going to do the salad. Object. Fitting, full frame proportionally. There's my salad. Move this up, down, play around with it. And last but not least, my smoothies. Object fitting, full frame proportionately. That looks pretty good. So I'm going to show you what this looks like in presentation mode. Not too bad, huh? The only thing I probably want to do is maybe pull this back just a little bit. So we have a little bit of a, maybe half of this space that I did. So I'm kind of aligning it where the halfway mark is of each circle, which kind of looks a little bit more balanced there. So I'm giving more white space here. I'm going to leave the copy where it is though, because that's as good as not too close to these images. I can put drop shadows on these or strokes on these little circles. If I want to do it consistently, I can select all three. I can just give it like a stroke color. If I want to give it a stroke color that's similar into my design, I can take the eyedropper tool with them selected and just select whatever I want the color to be. There's the color. And then if I want it to be a bigger stroke, I go up to Window Stroke, and I can, I'm going to make it really big so you guys can see. You guys see that? I can also adjust, say if I wanted to do dots instead of lines. If I didn't want a stroke, but say I wanted a drop shadow, so let's go to 0. I can go to Object, Effects, Drop Shadow. And I would say put like a very subtle drop shadow. Don't go crazy. Take it back, I don't know, let's do 55%. So it kind of pops off the page there nicely. What would be nice is to align the food with what's next here. So it says smoothies is the first one I see up there. Probably rearrange this to smoothies, and then salad. My mic is acting up. Can you guys hear me? Let me just move these around here. Muffled. Oh, maybe my hand was over it. Sorry. Does that sound better? Okay. It's probably my hand. I kind of rest my hand on my computer. Honest, probably where the mic is. Sorry, guys. Does anybody have any questions about that? That I just went over. No? Good. Okay, so I'm going to go in and I'm going to show you how to add more paragraph styles. I'm going to show you how to add a character style. I'm going to show you how to add tabs and a leader. And also add a paragraph style with color so that you guys kind of know how to do that. Let me do a 5-minute break here so you guys can get a little break of me talking this whole time. 5-minute break, we'll come back and we'll finish up with that. Sound good? Maybe my mic will come back here. All right. See you guys in about 5 minutes. Okay, can you guys hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Awesome. Okay, so let's go ahead and finish the rest of this. I'll kind of show you some things, some tricks and things to do here. The next thing I'm going to take care of, okay, so we got the body copy. Let me zoom in here. But what we want to do is we want to emphasize certain things within this menu so that the viewer can look at this and be real kind of clear on what it is that they're looking at sections, okay? Because when you look at a menu, you usually see some breaks in each section, some things that kind of draw your eye into a specific menu item. So I think where we're going to start is by changing the tops. We're going to call these subheads. So smoothies, in a bowl, on a plate, all of that are kind of subheads. So we're going to create another paragraph style sheet for this. So let me go ahead and bring up the paragraph style. And again, if you don't see it on here, just go to your window, styles, paragraph style, and you'll see your body copy one there, and it's already highlighted. What we're going to do is we're going to select, again, the upper right-hand corner asset button and choose new paragraph style. And you can select the word first, that's fine if you want to do that. And we're going to name this subhead. We want this to kind of be bold and maybe even a different color to jump out a little bit more. We're going to make it even bigger in size. So instead of 9 point, we're going to do 11 point. We're going to do a bold, maybe a bold condensed. And then a character color. We're going to pick a character color that is consistent with the menu. On the very front of my menu, the flip-flops are pink. So we're going to go ahead and choose pink. If you don't see a color here, you can add colors by going to your swatch panel and adding it there before going in this way. You can also add to your CC library down here as well. But mine's already in there, so I just have to select it. Now, in order to actually apply this style sheet, I have to select it in my style sheet panel box. So I have to highlight that only with that word selected or whatever words that you're trying to change, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and do that with all of my subheads. See how it kind of changes each one of those. Let's see here, on a plate. Okay, I think that's pretty much all the ones that I need to highlight there. So there's 3. Okay, the next, sorry guys, it's my mom calling. You hate it when your mom calls during your lecture? You get rid of that. Okay, so that is how you would do subheads. Okay, the next thing that I want to kind of pull out and call attention to is the actual name of the dish or the food before you get into the details. Okay, so for instance, this would be under smoothies, whole fruits and veggies blended to order, and then it has a price. Yeah, exactly, always at the right time. And then under that, you have kind of what's in there, you know, what's included in that, kind of the ingredients of that. So we're going to go ahead and do a different style for this, all right? And we're going to name this, you can name this whatever you want, however you want to name it for your understanding too. But I'm going to name this just for ease. Let's see here, where's my paragraph? I'm always losing that under my styles here. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and create a new paragraph style again, because it's more than one word. And I'm going to name this dish or food, whatever. I'm going to make this 10 points because I made my headline, I think 11. This will be 10 and my body copy is 9. So it's kind of going down in size. And I'm going to make this, let's do a 65 bold oblique. So it's almost like italicized. And let's see, maybe a character color of 9 point would be a good body copy size. I wouldn't go any lower than 8 point for body copy. I'm gonna go ahead before I do this. Let me go to my colors. And I'm gonna pull a color from here. I'm gonna pull like a darker brown here. Oops, what am I doing? I'm just kind of trying to get a good brown color for this part of my copy. So I'm going to select my square here, and I'm just going to select in this little image what the brown would look like. So this color, I'm going to add to my swatches. When I add that to my swatches, when I go to change the color, let me delete this one. It'll be in there as an option, okay? So let me go back to my paragraph style. This is a good way to show you here. Let me do it another one. All right, so I'm gonna name this dish, again, universe. What did I say? Bold, italic. Bold condensed, we'll do bold condensed oblique. And we'll do 10 point, and the character color, again, is gonna be that brown. All right. I'm going to take my type tool. I'm going to select what I want that to be changed as, and I'm going to choose dish and see how that changed it to that. I'm going to do the same thing here. Dish, dish, dish. Pretty easy. See how it kind of makes it consistent, and you don't have to, oh, I lost my other one here. Did I lose my subhead? Okay. You guys see how I'm doing this? Kind of makes sense, right? So you're kind of accentuating it a little bit more. You could probably, I could probably make my subheads a little bigger. And how you would do that is you just double click on the paragraph style if you want to edit it. So here's my paragraph style. If I wanted to change the subhead, I don't even have to select it really. But I just double click on it, and then I can make it bigger here. Like say if I wanted 14, it changes it there. Oops, I actually changed my other one. Hold on. Why did this change? Let me undo this. There we go. You go back and actually change we'll do 13. Do you have to select the entire line of text, or can you just place the cursor on the line? You can place the cursor on the line, just make sure it's on the right line. Like before you saw I had the cursor on this line, and then it changed my dish. If you see a little plus there, that means that has been changed and should not be. So I'm gonna go ahead and choose Control click, and I'm just gonna say redefine style, and it's gonna save it back to what we originally did. So it should have no plus signs next to it. When a plus sign happens, that just means that you went in here and you just changed this one, and it's attached to all the other ones. So it's asking you, should we save this same style since the other ones aren't quite the same? Okay, so the next thing that I want to do, any questions about that? See how it's kind of coming together here? Good. Okay, so the next thing that I want to do is I want to show you how to do Pineapple Paradise. Okay, I want to show you how to do tabs and leaders. Leaders, you don't necessarily always have to have. It's just a nice way to see a price point very easily. So they're like the ... after the dish here. There's ... and then you would set that very consistent with all your price points so that they're not all at different areas here. Okay, so I'll show you how to do tabs and leaders. All right, so we're going to select or just place your cursor on this line, and we're going to double click on the dish to open that back up. And we're going to click on tabs. Now this is, did you guys ever work in tabs before? This looks confusing, but I'll try to explain it here. Okay. So basically, see how it says 0 to 5 right here? It's highlighted. It's just showing me, let me cancel this out. Remember we said this was about 5 inches wide? That's telling me that's how much space you have from where we clicked. So anywhere where I put this, I'm going to click preview so you can see. Anywhere I put this tab, it's going to be applied to that type box from 0 to the 5 where it ends. Now these are your different tabs. You have a left justified. If you just kind of hover your cursor over, you'll see it's like intuitive where it'll tell you what each one is. So we have the left justified tab, centered, if you want a center tab, a right justified tab, and then aligned to decimal. We're going to do left justified because we're going to have certain things tabbed over. Let's go ahead and tab your dish over about, and what we'll do is we'll select that and then we'll click right into the ruler here. And this is where you can kind of see it on your screen if you have it in the preview mode. When you move this left and right, you kind of see where that line is in your actual layout. I'm going to set this to 0.25. And you can actually type it in here if you want to. And it should look blue here. You can always delete. If you pull this off, you just click and pull it off, or you can clear all. That's where my dish will tab over to. All right, so let me just show you real quick before I do anything. I'm going to click OK. If I put my cursor right here, this is how you would have to apply the tab. You have to have it right in front of where you're going to tab. So let me zoom in so you can see. And then you hit tab on your keyboard. You see how it tabs over to the 1/4 of an inch. You see that? Kind of similar. If you want to change it, just go ahead and double click over dish again, go back to tab. What we're going to do is not only we're going to add a left justified tab, but we're going to add a right justified tab because we want that price point. See that price point of $5.75? We want all the price points to align on the same area. So we're going to take the right justified tab. We're going to select that next. And we're going to click way over here with that. And we're going to slide that to about 5 to the end of our text box. Oh, sorry. Can you hear me? I don't know why I'm doing that. Can you hear me? Okay. I think I have, my wrist is bothering me today, so I think my wrist is being, like I'm just laying my hand on the computer in a weird way. Okay, so I just selected the right justified tab, and I kind of selected where I want that price point to end and align. Now, at this point, I want to put a leader in there too. So not only do I want this to be tabbed and aligned, I want to put those dot, dot, dots in there. So with this selected, this last right justified tab selected, I want to see where it says leader down there. Click in that area and just put a little period. You just type a period in on your keyboard, just one period, and click OK. Now, see that space in between the order, the word order, and 5? I'm going to go ahead and delete that space. And I'm going to hit tab on my keyboard. And as soon as I hit tab, it sets my leaders, and it also aligns my price point to where I want it to be. So I can do the same thing here. Oops. Pretty cool. not sure why this isn't, oh, I need a tab. Hold on 1 second. I think I might have a weird space in here. There, that's really strange. I lost my tab in there. Pretty neat. My style shifted, that's why. All right, let me just go ahead and put that in there. There we go. Looks like I lost my tab. I'm gonna have to adjust that. But just go right before where you want the leader to be set. I'm gonna delete that extra space, so there's no weird space there. And see how kind of they all align? And it just makes it easier to see whenever somebody's viewing it. And those are called leaders and tabs. The leaders are the small dots. Obviously, the tabs are where it's aligning. Oops. Okay. Now I put a little bit of extra space in between in here, in between each section, which also helps with visibility. And you can adjust that too. Instead of having an actual return, 2 returns in between here. But that would be something that you would have to adjust in your body copy. So let me get rid of the spaces in between here and I'll show you. So if you want to adjust that, just double click on body copy. You have to delete those spaces out though. And then what you want to do is you want to go to indents and spacing on the left-hand side. And you want to select, and this is where you would change the alignment. So if you wanted center, or this is where it's left, it's a left aligned. Space after is what you would be looking at. So space after will be the space after your paragraph is done, how much space you want in there consistently. And because I have returns in there that I have to take care of, it's kind of confusing to see this. Let me set it to 1.185, click OK. If you see it kind of spreading this stuff out, that's because there's a space in there. It's after any type of like a hard return. So I would need to go in here and actually change that. Just kind of delete those spaces out of here. That's kind of the only confusing part of this, is the hard returns can be a little tricky because it's affecting other things here. Let me go in and change my leading. That's actually what needs to be. And then what we'll do is go back to your indents and spacing. Cancel that because that's not body copy. We need our body copy selected. Let's pull this up a little bit so it's not so wide. Yeah, the only thing about this is because there are returns after that, that's kind of what's messing this up. Because we don't want these returns to be in there. But what you want is you want it to have a little bit more space in between your pieces here, your sections. If it all runs together, it's hard to read. Take this down. Actually, I'm going to take that out completely because I think that's kind of getting a little tricky with what we're going to be dealing with here. You might not want to kind of deal with that because there are so many spaces in there. It's kind of hard to get it back to where you need to be. So what I would say is just make sure your spacing is consistent. Body copy, there we go. You have more space in between your sections here, just like we had two returns in here, and that actually worked out fine. I'm kind of getting into trouble here whenever I'm trying to change each style. And I don't want you guys to get confused either. So I want to make it as simple as possible. Okay. So I would say don't worry about the space after. That's typically a lot of, when you do work with publication work, you're dealing with a lot of paragraphs, not necessarily a list of a menu item. That's kind of where you would pay attention to that. Yeah, there's a little bit more space in between each section here. That's a good thing. I'm gonna actually put a little bit more leading in here. There we go. It's a little crammed. Okay, now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put tabs in maybe just the body copy. Okay, so where it says body copy, make sure you're not selecting that type box. Go ahead and double click on the body copy. Go to tabs again, and we're going to set these tabs so that it's just offset a little bit. So we're going to take your left justify tab, and we're going to do, let's do a 1/2 inch. You don't have to put a liter, just click OK. And then we're going to put your little type tool right in front of each of these menu items. If you need to, you might need to do like a shift return to bump certain things down. But hitting the tab right in front of it is exactly what you need to do. And I'm just doing the body copy. Like I would do, see how this kind of is a bad hyphen here? So I would put it right in front of citrus and do a shift return and then a tab. The shift return is like a soft return that helps you kind of still control your style that you placed on there instead of a hard return. A hard return is just a hit on the return key. The soft return is a shift return. And that allows you to keep the style in place. So right here, right in front of this word cremini, just do a return shift and then a tab. Just make sure you don't have like one word at the end of the sentence there. It's kind of like a weird break. You want at least 2 words. You don't want like a widow hanging out there. That's what they call widow. Shift, trying to bump that down. That looks good. Then we could set it to these 2. These are the drinks. Okay, so let's take a look at this from where we started. Now we can kind of see the whole layout as a whole as we zoom out here. You know, is it balanced? Do I have enough margin space on each side, top and bottom? Do I need to move this up, you know, to balance the bottom? That looks pretty good. Everything is easy to read. I know that the smoothies is one section, the bowls are in one section, plates, and then in a glass at the bottom is another section. Okay, you don't have to necessarily do it like this. You could put all your menu items, say, on the top part, and then your images on the bottom, or on the left side, images on the right. I've had students do all kinds of different things. Sometimes you might have to do 2 columns. So if you do 2 columns of type, I'm going to show you how to do that. Mine may look a little weird because I have this all set right now. So I'm going to show you how to make 2 columns. So if I wanted to make this instead of 1 column, this is 1 column considered. All I have to do is go up to type. This always changes on me. Hold on one second. No, I'm sorry. Under objects, object on your menu bar. It's always, I always want to go up to type because it's part of type. Text frame options is what you want to choose. And then this is where you can change. If you hit preview, you can see it change actually on your layout. I have 1 column now, but if I change it to 2, now, of course, my tabs are weird, so you'll see it doesn't quite look as nice as my 1 column, but you can at least see this is breaking up into 2 columns now. You can do 3 columns. Okay. So that's where you would change it to different columns. Any questions about any of that? I'm going to show you how to do a character style too. Okay. Remember how we were talking about character style? That's primarily for maybe one word or like an actual one letter. So let's do, let's see here, all meals in a glass. In a glass is actually not too bad. We maybe want to separate this out a little bit. So let's do a character style. So paragraph style is basically on a lot of copy, like body copy, more than 2 or 3 words of type. Character style is basically for maybe 1 or 2 words, maybe just one bold word that you want to pull out, different color, different style. All right, so with the character style piano pull, it's just like your paragraph style. You just don't have as many options. I'm going to go ahead and just choose the word glass here just to show you. And I'm going to go click on the upper right hand corner just like you did with paragraph style. Just say new character style. And I'm going to name this bold. And universe, I want to keep it very consistent with that. And I'm just going to make this really big and bold. I think we started 11, so we'll do maybe 14. And see how the different settings on the left are along the paragraph style. That's what I mean about not having as many options, but they're there. Let's just do pink for now and see what that looks like. Click OK, and go ahead and select that to apply it. Now, if you want to change it, just double click on it. Say if I wanted to make this black oblique, you could go with the other text. But what that's for is you can change. So you already have in this line of text, I already have a paragraph style set, but I just did one word out of that paragraph style to emphasize. And that's what character styles are for. If you want that emphasis. And then you can actually use that same character style and different things within the menu as well. But I don't necessarily have anything. Okay. Now I can apply this to the words in A as well if I wanted to kind of have the whole line of text to read that way. I probably would make this under smaller, just to kind of make it all consistent. That's just an option there. Okay, so that's a character style. That's the differences between the two. And that's, good to know the differences there. All right. Right now, we're at the point where all we need to do is zip, package, and zip. So I'm going to go over that because I know a lot of you guys had issues with that. Packaging is really easy. All you have to do is go up to File, choose Package. This box will come up. Can you guys see this box? This next panel, package box, can you see that? Okay, I didn't know if you could or not. This is just a summary of what's going on in this package, what will be included, your fonts, linked images, color, all that. We're good. We're just going to hit package. And another box will appear, which will ask you to name the folder. If it's fine, just leave it as is. Just make sure all of these are checked. You may want to do a small file just so it's not a huge file. I'm going to view this on my computer. We'll take a look at it before we submit it just to make sure it looks good. Click package. And that's it. I would highly advise you guys to take a look at the PDF once it's packaged. It might take you a little while here to look at it. Share my my desktop. Let me hide all my stuff here. So it's on my computer. It looks like this. I'm going to double click on it. It has my InDesign file. This is just telling me it's open. This is the PDF. Here's my document fonts and my links. I'm going to double click on my PDF. And I want you guys to do the same. Just make sure it looks good and view it. I usually view it around 50, 60%. Just make sure it looks readable. It's not pixelated or fuzzy in any way. This looks pretty good. And just make sure you have both pages. Everything looks good. Looks good. Okay. So if everything's all right, go ahead and click, and you can either go up to File, Compress to zip it, or Control click will do the same thing, and this will zip it. Now, you want to make sure you have, you want to make sure this isn't going to be a huge file. So do select your zip folder and do a Command I. This is probably why a lot of you guys are having issues with submitting it onto Canvas, because this is a pretty big file, 35.5 megabytes. The reason being is because this image in here, or these images, this image too, are high-res images. The only way around that is if you actually open up Photoshop and resize it based on the size that you're using in your document. That's a good habit to get into anyway. Let me open up Photoshop and I'll show you here. So I open up Photoshop. I'm going to open up that, remember that image on the cover, because I really didn't change it. I just imported it right from when I downloaded it. Go to image, image size in Photoshop, and just take a look at the size of this. See, this is where the you need to convert this, because right now it's at 72 pixels per inch. That's basically like if you were to print this, you would want this resolution to be 300. But what you want to do is resample it. The only problem is this image isn't quite the size that you want it to be final size. So we're going to have to see how this is going to be affected. But I'm going to click OK. I'm going to go ahead and save as. And we're going to save it as a TIFF file. TIFF files are bigger too, but typically that's a good habit to get into for printed purposes. So I'm going to do Command D and just do a file place. And this might look a little different. There we go, the TIFF file. So the TIFF file, yeah, it's going to be a little bit bigger. But that's how you would do for print, okay? So getting in good habit, this is still going to be a big file. It's just how you would do it for print. So you would have to actually replace this on all of yours. I would open up all three of these, resize these as well in Photoshop for the purpose of this. You can select your images and go up to, and this is in InDesign, go to your properties box. I don't have that up, and you can see what size this is in there. So this is 1.9, that's almost 2 by 2. So I'm going to go back to Photoshop. I'm going to open up all three of those. Let's see here, linked files, yep. These are all JPEGs too. Let's see if you guys can see this. This is the first one. We're going to go image, image size, and we're going to just downsize this. Yeah, see, these are really big. See, this is 63 megabytes. It's huge. So what we want to do is we want to keep this resolution the same, but we want to change the inches, because remember we said 2 inches by 2 inches. Before we do that, we want to make sure we click on resample so that this doesn't change. This will still stay at 300. Okay, so we want, I'll do 2.5 just to be safe. Actually, let's just do 3 inches by 3 inches. And look how it dropped it from 63 megabytes to 1.74. That's what we want. And we're going to save this. I'm sorry, save this as to a TIFF. I'm going to do this again, only we're going to do the next one, which is the salad. Image size. We went downsize this to about 3 inches. So it was 103 megabytes down to 22. We'll do like 2. Should be good. File save as. We'll save it as a TIFF file. That's good for print. Click OK. One more. It's a good habit to get into. What do we have? Smoothies is next. There we go. It takes it from 74 megabytes to 1.8. That's a big, significant size change. All 3 of those. So this will definitely affect your overall file size. It should be a lot less. Okay, once that's done, go back into InDesign. What we're going to do is we're just going to replace these with the TIFF files. So go back into your folder. And we're going to do the smoothies TIFF. We're going to replace that. We're going to place our salad with the TIFF file. It pretty much doesn't look like anything's changing, and that's fine. So we know it's changing. And we're going to save this, and we're going to go ahead and package this again. So I would go ahead and delete what you did before. I know you guys didn't see what I was just doing here because I forgot to share my screen. Sorry, guys. I share my desktop so you don't lose that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete everything that I just packaged. Go back into InDesign. I just replaced these with the TIFF files, saved it, and now I'm going to package it again, just because I have all those images in there that are new. And see what my file size will be. Smallest size for a PDF is fine. Package, click OK. Okay, hold on 1 second. I'll be right with you. We're going to go ahead and compress this. I just want to see what the file size changes to once I did that. Because I think a lot of the problems, yeah, see, it went from a 35 megabyte file to a 9.8. Big, significant size change. So a lot of you guys who are having problems uploading, it's probably because of the file size. So go in, do those image size changes based on what you have. You know, you have to make sure if you're using these images, you have to make sure the size of them first. So mine was about 2 inches by 2 inches, and then go in and resave them. Okay, what was your question? So packaging is only for submitting. For this, it is so I can see, I can open up your InDesign file. I may not have fonts that are on your computer. If I don't have fonts that are on your computer or images that are on your computer that's syncing to, it opens up and it replaces your fonts, or it'll show big red like highlights over type that I may not have the typeface for. It won't show the images that I don't have. So I'm viewing it a lot differently than what the final one is. So by packaging, it allows me to open up your file, see it as you see it. I have all your fonts to sync up if I need to. I have all your images if I need to. This is basically a good habit to be in when you're sending off anything, say, to another designer or design firm and or printer based on their specs that maybe they need to continue on work or use that for something else, that they have everything that they need. PDFs are a little different because they compress everything. You don't need synced fonts or images. They're just pretty much a flat file that you see. Printers do also print from high-res PDFs as well. For this submission, the packaging is for me to see that you know how to package, but then I can also open up your file appropriately and can see everything as you see it on your computer in the proper way. And I can go in and I can look at, like I'll open it in InDesign and I'll be able to see that you have, you know, your paragraph styles. I should be able to look at that and say, okay, you know, they have the paragraph styles set right. There's more than one in there. The character styles are set. Your tabs are set correctly. You know, everything, it looks good. When I open up a PDF, I can't see all that, right? Because it's just all flat. Yep. It won't have any syncing issues, but I won't be able to see, you know, how you did everything in there. It's a way for me to kind of look and see if you did everything correctly. And that you know how to package, because you guys should pretty much know this, even in a beginning class, how to do this, so that you are going forward, you know how to do this for future classes. And of course, whenever you get out into the real world, you'll be doing that for printers and other designers. All right, so do you guys have any questions or anything that you want me to review? I'm gonna kind of wrap it up if you don't. Hopefully that was clear on what you guys need to do for the most part. And also don't feel like you need to emulate what I did. You can, just for the sake of getting to know the program, but I want you guys to really do your design based on your client and be creative and do something different on your own. Sometimes it's nice to copy initially, but then kind of play around with your styles, you know, once you get comfortable with how to apply styles and all that stuff. Nobody has any questions? I will be around tomorrow. Like I said, I'll be logged on for a couple hours tomorrow for the multi-session. It's not mandatory, but it's just for you guys to get an opportunity to come in if you have any questions, need extra help, or for me to go over anything that you need help with. All right. Don't forget to take your assessment too as well. That's a quiz. Look in your media section for what to review for that, your videos, reading, notes. Yeah. I cannot. I used to, Larry. They won't let us do that anymore. They said not to. They just kind of said, you know, not to review any questions, but just to go over what's going to be, how to find what's going to be on there. Yeah, we got yelled at for that. But I think what's nice about the quizzes is that you guys don't have any time limit, so you can kind of do some, you know, problem solving when you have any questions, when there's a question that you're not sure about. Yeah. Yeah. So just take your time, read each question, you know, slowly. If you need to research the answer, go ahead and do that. I always kind of like to say, you know, have a split screen if you need to do some research on whatever you have questions about. You guys learn even when you're problem solving too. Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. Mm-hmm. So you guys are clear on what style sheets are, what they're used for, their purpose, and how to use them? A little bit more clear on that? Yay. All right. Great. Yep, you're welcome. I think for those of you who are doing the third menu option, the Chinese, Japanese restaurant, there's a lot of copy in there. And don't let that overwhelm you. It's a little bit more than what I showed you on mine. What you might want to do is kind of make your body copy smaller, you know, 9-point type, do multiple columns. Just be kind of mindful of how it all runs together. You want, you know, sections, like you want clear sections to break. You don't want it to all run together. When there's no sections, like breathing room in between each, it just becomes harder to follow and read. So just kind of keep that in mind. Keep it consistent. I want to see that the front matches the back in some way with repetition of color, image, font, all that good stuff. All right, guys. If you guys don't have any questions, we'll just wrap it up, and you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. Thanks for coming in, and I'll be seeing you guys on the boards. All right, take it easy.